Welcome back to our next episode of the Doggone Truth About Rescue with Always and Furever. There has been a lot of changes and big things happening in between our podcast episodes. And since the last time we've had our guest that we have with us, how long ago was that?
May of last year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, May of last year.
It's been that long.
I looked back and it was May of last year.
Well, a lot has happened since then. So we're going to go through and give updates on what's happening down at Osawatomie Pound. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves and your current roles with Always and Forever, because since May we have gained a lot of new listeners. So
right. I'm Deana, and I am the manager out of the Osawatomie shelter, not pound. Excuse me. It's been a change, and I brought a volunteer with me.
I'm Wendy. I'm a volunteer. I volunteer and foster dogs and cats out of the Osawatomie shelter.
So let's start, and correct me if I'm wrong. The last time you guys were on, we were trying to fundraise just to get the new kennels for inside of it. But wherever you want to start with the story, but ownership has changed, renovations are happening.
Yes.
Wherever you want to start with your journey.
So last May we were on and we were talking about everything, trying to get the city to let us in there, and finally in October, the 28th, I believe, is when we actually purchased the Osawatomie Pound, and now it is actually the Always and Forever Osawatomie Shelter, Land of Oz is what we call it. And we do have a mailbox now, so we actually can get mail and Amazon and everything out there. David Anderson, shout out to him. He's a volunteer. Great. He's Sky's foster. He just put a big old sign that says Always and Forever Osawatomie Shelter, or Oz Shelter. So now people can literally find us. We don't have to worry about that. So we did a fundraiser to raise kennels. We've got the brand new kennels in. We also got the floor done, which looks amazing. And starting tomorrow, we are getting ready to put up the perimeter fence for 3.5 acres. So this is going to be exciting. It's going to help protect all of our dogs, because we are out by a lake, and people bring their dogs out and let them off leash. We don't know if they're friendly. We don't know if our dogs are going to be friendly with their dogs. So this is going to help us quite a bit.
Can you go into detail of putting up the fence? I know how big of a deal that is, of how it's going to change the day-to-day operations at the pond, or at the shelter. That's going to take some getting used to.
Trying to get used to changing it from pound to shelter. Jen always says pound, so
yeah.
I'm always correcting her. Nope, it's a shelter now.
I just say Oz.
Yep. So it is going to affect us really big, because we will be able to walk the perimeters inside the gates. We're going to or inside the fence. It's going to be a chain link fence with the black, I'm not sure what it is, matting in there and stuff. And there will be a gate.
It's 6 foot, right?
It's 6 foot. So nobody can jump over. Well, I can't say nobody can jump over, because
We're hoping nobody jumps over.
we're hoping that, yeah. But this way it just keeps the dogs safe. I mean, and us too as staff. I mean,
Right. There's coyotes out there. Mm-hmm. There's coyotes out there, and I mean, I've been running before with a smaller dog at night, and it was a pup, and he was cutting in front of me, and I've got this flashlight on, and I can't see, and these coyotes are barking, and I'm like, we gotta get back, and I about tripped and fell down. I'm like, dude, if we go down, we're both dinner, so.
I'm just going to pause there. This is why I love when you guys come on, because you just go right into the stories. Other people, we kind of have to pull it out of them. But what about that one time? Remember?
Yeah.
You guys go right, and I haven't heard that one yet. So that's a good one.
So the fence is going to be great, because nobody's going to have to run from coyotes, and dogs that are off leash that want to come over, and maybe they're friendly, but who knows if who we're walking is dog friendly. Because we don't have that opportunity to do a bunch of testing. But maybe now we will, with having it fenced in. And Deanie forgot to mention we have new cat kennels too.
we do.
We have new cat kennels, and we have, so they have more room, and you also got a couple of play yards.
Yes, I was going to mention that. We do have a couple of play yards now, so we could take the dogs out in the play yard and play ball with them. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Beebles.
Yes, go into details on the Beebles, and you've already jumped to what we usually ask at the end of the episode of who's going to be the cover dog. It's going to be the Beebles.
Beebles.
But yes, go into detail on the Beebles to educate.
Oh my goodness, these girls are funny. They are Beagles and Bull Terriers mixed. They're so cute. They're ugly. I mean, they are just.
They're super soft.
They are so cute. There's 4 of them. They are going to get spayed Friday, so they're going to go into a foster. But they were actually from a breeder up in northern Nebraska. And I guess this breeder was in trouble with the state. And there was 6 of them, and we ended up getting 4, and the other 2 went to other rescues. So these 4 girls, which is Twyla, Moria, Jazzy, and Wiggles. And Wiggles is very outgoing. She is the more calm. That's Moria. That's Wiggles, or that's Jazzy. Wiggles has a black dot right on her white spot on the back of her head. And
she's kind of the protector of them.
She is.
Because I was watching her when we had them in the play yard, and she gets in front of the other 3 and kind of stands in front of them because they're scared. I mean, they're scared of people. And she stands in front of them, and she's the one that comes up. And once they see her come up, then they will come up to you, and maybe they'll let you pet them.
Can you go into a little detail? Because usually we don't get animals from breeders like this, and they're usually pulled from the pound, and we don't know the background story. So knowing the background story and how little of interaction they do have, how does that play a role in where they get placed in foster and adoption, and how do you handle them differently day to day?
So these girls, they're chunky little things. They're like 36 pounds, and they do not know what a leash is. They do not. I mean, they won't walk other than in the play yard once we get them in there. So, we're trying to get them used to a leash. We've just put out a plea and ask for fosters. And 3 of them are already going to be foster fails. I mean, they just absolutely love them. Well, one of them is David's mom and David's brother. They're going to take Mora and Twyla. And then I had a gentleman come out and meet Wiggles, and he just the family fell in love with her. So we just put out a plea and told we posted those pictures, and everybody's just like ecstatic about it.
I mean, I think it has to be somebody that's going to be patient. I mean, even just to wrangle them back in from the play yard to take them back into the pound or to the shelter, you kind of got to get them in a bunch and just real slow. I mean, they're not aggressive or anything like that. They're so scared, and you just pick them up, but they won't come to you. They won't come to you.
Well, then I retract my previous statement of knowing what our cover dog is going to be so they all have places to go already?
They all have fosters, but we can always use their picture because they're so cute. And Jess did a really good picture of all 4 of them sitting there.
Okay,
They're like,
we
this
can do
is
that
what
one.
spade and neuter means.
True. It is such a good...
I can send that to you because it was really cute. Or Amanda did. She took the picture, but Amanda did a write-up of a spade and neuter. I mean, it was really cute because 3 of the 4, Twyla is the smallest and looks like to be the youngest, and she has never been bred. Okay. So she is very lucky that she got out of there. The other 3, I'm wondering if maybe Mora is not her mama because she looks just like her because it's a dapple. They're very beautiful dogs.
You know what was interesting about them coming in? I noticed it. I don't know if it was intentionally, but how they were promoted was very different.
Yes.
So Jen first posted about the breed and like very specifics, background information on them before posting any of the photos of them.
Yeah.
And I just haven't seen that before.
Well, we didn't actually have pictures, or we knew nothing about these dogs before they came in. So that's why Jen was able to give you everybody the information about the dogs.
It led up to like that curiosity of like, well, what are they going to look like? I want to know, what are these people?
Sunday night, there was probably 20 people there because everybody wanted to know what a Beagle was. Because I'm like, what is a Beagle? I don't have no clue.
I've never heard of them.
But it's just interbreeding of a bulldog and a beagle. Now, they actually sound like a beagle, too, when they bark. So, yeah, they've got a noisy bark.
Hard pass on apartment living.
Are they barking more now?
Yes, they are.
Because they weren't Sunday when I was out there.
Now, we're assuming in kennels and stuff, they were not in a home. So, we tried to let everybody know, look, these dogs are not potty trained, leash trained. They didn't know what a human touch was. And they're doing so much better. Actually, they've been keeping their kennels fairly decent after the first night, once they're starting to get good food and stuff like that.
So where are we with space as far as the kennels and capacity? Is that going to change with us taking ownership of the building finally, or future renovations?
So it's going to change a little bit. Right now, I have 15 dogs and I have 16 kennels. Yeah, I have 2 kennels open and they're smalls. So I have 12 large and 4 small. And we just had we had an owner get arrested and the police brought their dog in. Because we do have a contract with Osawatomie and Paola. And so they bring their dogs in. And so we had to move 2 of the Beagles into the smaller kennels and give them each their own kennel.
With that contract, I don't know if you'll know the answer to this. Even if you're at capacity and they bring in a dog, do you have to take it?
No, because if we're full, there's nowhere for them to go. So
I think don't they call you, or do they?
Yeah.
They let Deana know that they may have something, and she tells them yes or no.
Yeah.
And where are we at with cats? We can't forget about them.
So I actually do not have any cats right now.
Not on the closest thing possible.
Right?
We're coming into kitten season, though, so just get ready.
I was going to ask when
Yeah.
this kitten season.
Yeah, it's kitten season. We took in 9 cats from another rescue that we're helping out. And all of them's been adopted but one out of PetSmart. So we just have one, which is Patty. Super sweet girl. So if you're needing a cat.
She's not.
Yeah, she's at PetSmart. So if you need a cat, just run to PetSmart, put your application in for Patty. But we have cat condos. As Sheila said, we are getting ready to start renovating the Osawatomie shelter, too. We're going to add, with us buying Casey Moe, our plan is once a 7-day stray holds up from the Osawatomie shelter, we will move them to the new KC location, which, that's probably going to be a year or so, so I'm going to be living at limited space. But we're going to try to get the Osawatomie shelter, we're going to build a bigger addition. We're going to get our bathroom finally. We're going to get a meet and greet room. We are going to get a cat room. Because I told Jen, I says, these cats can't decompress being with the dogs barking. Mm-hmm. So,
and we can never let them out. I mean, they're never allowed out of their kennels. You have to open it and play with them there, and maybe you can stand there and hold them, but we can't let them out because they're in the same room with the dogs. So this will give us a chance to let them out and play with them and, play with toys and play with them and
get to know them a little bit better and stuff.
What's the timeline on some of the renovations?
So the fence starts tomorrow, and they're supposed to have that done in a week. So hopefully we'll have that done by next week. I will be doing videos, pictures and stuff like that. We are needing to raise the money for that, for the fence. So we have a donor that's going to, I think Jen's going to post it tomorrow, that we have a donor that's going to donate $20,000 and do a match for it. So we're going to put that up and get that going and everything. And then after that, I think she said at the end of May, 1st of June is when they're going to start doing the renovation out there.
I just thought of something that we haven't mentioned either that you're doing now. You're doing Saturday open houses from 11 to 1, which is really cool because she's had people come from all over to come out and, and I mean, I think it's just a handful at a time, but it's kind of neat because people actually are showing up and wanting to see what it's about. So that's cool.
Yeah. And Gibby, which he's one of our senior dogs out there, he actually had a foster come down and meet him, and so he has a meet and greet Saturday. So we haven't had a lot of people, but this Saturday I think we had more. I think around 8, 9 people come out. So each Saturday it's a little more and more and stuff. So yeah, we do have the open houses 11 to 1 on Saturdays. Thursday, there's a group of us going to start hitting the town of Osawatomie and Paola, pass out flyers, and trying to get more support from the local businesses and things like that, and let them know who we are. And we also have a poker run that's going to support the pound, raise money for. So if anybody likes to ride, come on out to the Paola Eagles and we'll join our bike ride.
Can you go a little bit in more detail there? Like if I show up with my bicycle, is that the kind of bike you're talking about?
No.
Okay.
We're talking motorcycle. It's called a poker run, and it's not limited to just motorcycles. People want to bring their old antique cars out and do it. And it's $10 a person, and then we're going to have breakfast for everybody. And then after that, we are going to have walk-in tacos and dessert and stuff like that. So we're hoping to have a good turnout. We're going to start at the Paola Eagles in Paola about 10 o'clock. They call it Kickstand Up at 11, so everybody could get to Hillsdale Tavern.
Do you see where the confusion could be here?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And when they say bikes, they think bicycles. We're giving a shout out to Hillsdale Tavern, BB's, and Timber Creek Bar.
This restaurant.
Yeah. But they're going to be our 3 stops in Miami County. All of them are in Miami County to help support the locals and stuff too. We'll have raffles. We're going to have a prize for whoever wins the poker hand, and then we'll end up back at the Paola Eagles, and everybody can have food and dessert and stuff.
Oh, I was just going to ask her, are we doing raffle baskets? Because
We are.
We haven't talked about that.
We are going to do raffle baskets, and then we're also going to we're going to put one together for whoever wins the poker hand.
Why I'm laughing is because we did raffle baskets at my house last year, and my house was the raffle basket house, and it was like a bomb went off in there for like 2 weekends in a row, and I had baskets stashed everywhere in my stepson's room. I'm like, just ignore it.
The thing with the raffle baskets is the backup plan, and if somebody's there, like leaves and doesn't get it, I've found myself after we've had glory events of the housekeeper of the unclaimed baskets, and then trying to call them, and then they don't answer. I'm like, well, what do I do with these baskets? But they found homes.
No.
Hard no.
The last one we did, I'm like, nope. Sent it all with Deana. Nope. Packed it all up. Sent it with Deana. Like, it's your baby now. I'm done.
She did. But how many did we?
I don't know.
Events
we didn't count, but we did like 4 events, and we did extra stuff for Miranda, and we did stuff for the golf event. We did stuff for Roots Festival, Hamburger Marys,
And the golf tournament.
Yeah,
and-
I mean, it was a lot of baskets.
But we had great baskets. Everybody they were wonderful baskets.
Yeah.
Outside of this wonderful opportunity that's coming up in the open houses, is there a way for people in the community, if they want to be more hands-on with the upcoming renovations, to volunteer and be a part of that? Or is it mostly contracted out?
Rob has reached out to contractors that are local, which is KBS. They have reached out to contractors and stuff in Miami County and had them come out and do their bids and things like that and stuff.
But there's not like volunteer opportunities yet.
No, not yet.
It's all contracted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could probably come up with something.
Oh, yeah, I imagine we can. The building needs to be painted and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, signs made and things like that for it.
That's what I was thinking. Of like painting, or even, we talked about it, was it 2 episodes ago, of the lawn care and maintenance.
Landscaping.
Around the landscaping,
Yeah.
yes, of coming out and gardening and just making the outside look just as appeasing, because that could be a full-time job in itself.
Right. And Wendy's a good flower person. I told her, I said, you could do the landscape. I'm not a flower person.
I like to do like butterfly garden stuff, and I thought let's do some of that out because she's, actually going to get windows.
Yes.
And the cat room is going to have a window, and so something out there that will entertain the kitty cats. So something that draws hummingbirds and butterflies and other birds, and something for them to go crazy and watch.
Are there draft plans anywhere to show the vision of what it's going to look like?
I have a draft planned, and Joe is going to get them posted. It's not the final one yet, but yeah, like Wendy said, we are going to actually have windows in the whole place, and we're going to have doors to the play yards. And then once we get done with the renovating, we are actually going to build bigger play yards inside our perimeter fence for the dogs, where we can put pools, and somebody donated a gazebo type thing that we could put in one of them. Beth Woolridge's boys are doing Eagle Scout projects. They're going to build a picnic table and some benches and stuff so that people could just come out, take a dog and sit with them on a bench and just enjoy it, because it's so beautiful out there. Absolutely beautiful.
Have you been out there?
I think I've driven past.
Yeah, we've always gone to Greeley.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys need to come out. In the mornings, it's very beautiful. The sun coming up over the lake. There's a little lake. It's very pretty. And then the sunset, it's actually just really gorgeous. You just got to get away from the trees to see it all.
You brought up a few things of donations. Are there any other items that you need right now for donations? Especially when you're thinking of like renovations, larger items, the couches, chairs, anything like that, or smaller?
Well, we still need a leather chair,
Okay.
or couch, I guess. But we've been trying to hold off bringing that stuff in until actually after all the construction's done. Because when they renovated and did the kennels, we got a container. So the shelter is not crammed full of stuff. You can actually walk around everything and not worrying about mice coming out, because it's actually, not crammed all in there. We got a storage and stuff. So we had to move everything out. And I'm just like, don't bring any more stuff right now, because we're just going to have to move it. So right now as we need stuff, we move it back from the container. We have our golf cart stuffed in the container too. It's starting to get nice. We're going to get that bad boy out so that we can start giving the dogs rides.
Those are some of my favorite videos to watch.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
Some of the dogs are hilarious. They just sit in that golf cart and, like a human. They're like, yes, let's go. We could always use more volunteers. Right now, I know everybody works. We have great turnout on Saturday and Sunday of volunteers. But during the week, it would be nice to have more extra help. In the mornings, it takes us from 7 o'clock, getting the dogs out to go potty, coming in, getting everybody fed with 15 dogs. It takes us until almost noon to get everybody's kennels cleaned and everybody out for another walk. So, just the extra help of volunteers coming out, loving on the dogs. Come out and take one and put them in the play yard and just sit with them, throw a ball, or just sit we do have hay, so you're not sitting in the mud and stuff. We got fresh hay. Sit with them and just love on them. Gibby just likes to sit and roll, he's like, and give him belly rubs and he's happy, We have Zariah, she's a lab mix. She's off of her stray hold. We're getting her spayed, so she'll be looking for her home. And, she just wants to.
That girl has some energy.
She does.
Energy. If you want to run or
She's your
if you're
running partner.
athletic, she is down to clown. She is your energy dog.
Yep.
She's sweet too. It's not like she's all over you or anything. She's very sweet. She just has a lot of energy and needs to run. She needs to play.
My friend just sent me this article for a school district where the cross-country team came out and would run with the dogs. And she teaches in a Lee Summit district. And I told her about Always and Forever moving up there. She's like, oh, we need to connect them. But is there a school district near you guys?
We do. We have Paola and Osawatomie. But I've got a couple of high school kids that come out and walk the dogs, but nothing.
That's a really good idea, because you could reach out to the to the cross country or the track coaches and ask, because both schools do have cross country. So that would be really good.
It could be something they could work towards of like, yeah.
Well, not only that, they can use the volunteer hours. I know.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, we would have to be a little careful about it because we don't have that much to run. Because, I mean, we just have about 1.5 miles from the main road to the shelter and then down to the lake. So, you know, we would have to kind of watch more than one dog running.
Deana, how much are you running that's not enough?
I don't run. I'm too fat.
I'm like, who is running and saying 1.5 miles is not enough?
Well,
they can do back and forth.
Right, but I'm just
Back and
saying
forth
with
would be
2
a
dogs.
5K.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, you know what? These kids run all the time. It'd be a cakewalk for them. For me, no.
Yeah, I don't run nowhere.
Me either. That's what I'm like, 1.5 miles.
Well, just with having 2 dogs out at a time,
Yeah.
you know, that's what I mean by that, you know, just kind of watch
What is
with them.
the dogs you have there right now? How many are dog selective and how many go out in groups?
Well, we don't really have play groups yet. Our play yards, the Beebles, yeah, the Beebles are my only play group. So most of the dogs right now we're still learning about. You know, we really haven't dog tested because Michaela hasn't had time to come out, and our play yards are fairly small. So we've been kind of waiting until we get the bigger play yards where they can actually run and play and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think several of them are okay. Like Gibby's okay, but he's an old man and he doesn't want anybody jumping around and running into him, and he doesn't want anybody. If you're laid back, I think he'd be fine. I think Zariah would be fine. She's happy-go-lucky.
Juno.
Yeah, Juno. Yeah.
Hartford. Let's see, who else? Morty. Morty loves other dogs too. I have a volunteer that takes him home, and the neighbor's dog comes over and sees him, and they go play.
Who's been there the longest right now? To give them a little pitch.
Gibby's been my longest one, and then Morty.
Okay.
Morty and Bonnie came in together, and Bonnie was actually adopted to a family up in Iowa. And she was blind. She had glaucoma, and there was so much pressure that they had to take her eyes. But she's doing great. She's doing wonderful. At first, they were bonded, but then when they had her eyes removed, we couldn't keep them together because of the fact we're afraid Morty was going to jump on her, get her stitches, or, you know, look at them or whatever. So we separated them, and when we did that, Morty was like, nah, I don't care, you know, and so did Bonnie. She was happy and content by herself. So I said, they're not bonded, so... But
I do want to say something about that, because I think people, I mean, her pictures after she had her surgery looked rough. And I think people feel really bad about that and think that it was cruel. But I just want to say this. Her attitude just totally flipped.
Changed.
Like, she felt so much better. You could tell she felt better. And don't let it fool you. She knew you could try to sneak up on her. You weren't going to get it done. She knew when you were there. She knew she could find a toy. It's crazy what her sixth sense was like.
I can chime in on that, and I bring up Kingston probably every episode now, but because he's deaf, and you can see where his cage is away from the door, so he cannot like really feel or anything when I come in. But the amount of times that he'll just like, as soon as I turn this corner, and I'm not a heavy stomper, and he like knows that I'm there, I'm like, how did you hear me? There is a sixth sense. Right? There is, yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell everybody. I said, Bonnie was blind, but she could see better than anybody. I mean, that dog could find a toy. She could sense when there was somebody there that she didn't know. She would bark. But it wasn't a vicious bark, but it's like, hey, somebody's here. And it's so funny. I mean, she's amazing, and she's done great.
She knew her way around. She knew where her kennel was. She knew where the door was. It was crazy.
He's walking up acting like he heard us talking about him. Kingston, get out of here. But kind of changing topics really quick before we wrap up. You guys made a comment before we started this about the new fence going up and the potential of people dropping off dogs or tying them to the fence. What is something you would like to tell the community on basically dumping their dogs by or near the shelter and better avenues, or how it should be done?
So we have had 2 dogs dumped out there. One of them was Yellowstone, and then one was Johnny Walker. So A&F bought that property. It is private property. So if you dump your dog, you're abandoning them. And we do have cameras. We could turn that into the police department. So what we suggest is if somebody, I just had a gentleman bring me a chocolate lab, and he's like, I found him on the road. He says, can you take it? And I said, sir, we can't take it. I said, you have to take him to the police department. The police have to bring him out. But if it's somebody that wants to do an owner surrender, they need to email intake@alwaysandforever.org, and then Kelly would get with them on that. Those are the proper ways to do it instead of dumping your animals, because Johnny Walker was out for 2 weeks before we found him.
The other one that showed up, but I don't know necessarily he was dumped, was Blade.
Yeah.
He was emaciated over at the golf course and ended up with us.
Yeah.
And you just showed up there, which is really weird. I mean, that's kind of a strange place for a dog to just show up.
Well,
And hey, let's don't forget Trooper. She was dumped out there.
Yeah, Trooper. Yeah.
Troop. It's a cat.
Yeah. We have people actually bring their cats out and dump them too.
Good point. Let's mention the cats as well.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they're not feral. I mean, we'll be walking and we hear meow, meow, and here, kitty, and it comes right to you. We take, before we would just take them in because we didn't want the dogs to get them and stuff. But the proper way, and Osawatomie is there's another rescue that's trying to do a TNR in Osawatomie to help with the population of the feral cats and stuff. So we're trying to support them on that so that we don't have all these cats running around.
That's something definitely, if listeners are listening to, get on board and support that, because they don't want to do it. They say, once you take the cat to have that done, then that's your cat and you can't just bring it back and abandon it. But that doesn't fix the problem.
Right.
Just get the cat fixed and then let it loose again. It'll be fine,
Because they'll have all the shots and stuff like that.
And it's out of control, the cat population.
Very bad.
So.
And as you mentioned, kitten season is right around the corner.
And that's a 2-time-a-year thing.
Yes.
Spring and fall. You get it twice a year.
They said one cat in 5 years or 10 years can produce like 4,200 cats.
4,200.
Yeah, and that span, because there's twice a year, like Wendy said, you have spring and fall where they produce. And if you get 5 kittens, then them produce, and then
They start having like, their first litter is usually pretty small, but then they'll get to 5 and 6 and they'll have bigger litters, and and then you got them all having kittens and them all having kittens. And
I'm laughing because this is how my mind works. If that's how many cats there are, but then you're saying you're still seeing mice every once in a while, then just fathoming the amount of mice that reproduce, that if there's that many cats out there, but we're still having mice problems, and how many mice are actually out there.
mice and rabbit.
But anyways, that's a whole nother tunnel that we can go down. So thank you for sharing that, because I don't want that to be more of an issue as the shelter becomes more aware and approachable and seen.
Exactly.
And out there of people being like, oh, the pound is what they're going to refer to it. Just go drop them out there. They have more staff. It's renovated. It looks great now.
Yeah.
And making that the easy route.
And we don't want you to do that. I mean, we may not be able to take the dog right now, but, just email us, and we can, once we get a little more room, and we do get KC Mo, we will be able to do that a little bit more so that people aren't just dropping their dogs off.
As we wrap up, I know I already said that, but just the future vision of when KC Mo is open. I know you kind of mentioned on it of almost turning into like the holding shelter and then them moving up. How is that going to truly impact Osawatomie and KCMO?
I think it'll impact it, because right now the police can't bring any dogs in because we're full. So if I have 5 kennels open, we're going to be able to bring in 5 dogs. Before we even purchased it, I stayed full. I mean, for the last 2 years before we purchased it, we were full constantly with cats and dogs. And so it's still going to be the same way. It's still going to be the same way. It's always going to be full. I see it. And when people realize, some ladies like, oh, don't take your dogs out to the Osawatomie Pound because I've heard it's a terrible place. And I got on there and I says, that's not correct, ma'am. Here's our website. Go check it out, which is Always and Forever Osawatomie Shelter. We do have our own page. We do promote the dogs that are lost in Miami County on there, and I also post them in the Miami County Lost. So if anybody's dogs are ever lost, you can go to our page and find that. And we promote trying to find their homes. But this lady's like, oh, it's a terrible place. And I says, ma'am, come out on Saturday and see how terrible it is. You're going to see these dogs have had amazing care. They're walked 3 to 4 times a day. They're loved on. They're fed twice a day. Their kennels are clean. The floor's clean.
They get turned down service.
Yeah, they get turned down service at night, So they do get spoiled out there.
All-inclusive.
Right?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
All-inclusive pound. Thank you for sharing and reminding me that it is a different website, because I'll be sure to include that in the description of this episode so people can share it, especially those that are local and listening, to have that.
And even in
hand.
Johnson County, we're trying to be able to help Spring Hill once we get KC Mobot. Then, we can bring in more dogs and stuff. And we're trying to get Lewisburg involved. Because in Lewisburg, normally when they pick up a dog, it's at a vet for 3 days, and then they euthanize it. So we're trying to talk them into not doing that and start bringing them out to us.
3 days is not long enough to find your dog.
3 days is wild to me.
3 days is not long
Because
enough to find your missing pet.
I hope I never go through it, but I figure this might be the mindset of after 1 day, they'll probably come back. The second day is when you finally start promoting of putting, I would probably promote within an hour or two, but either way, promote it out there. And then the third day, at that point have 24 hours to hope someone else sees it.
Right.
It's sad.
So when we was running it with Osawatomie, we changed it to 7 days. That gives people plenty of time to reach out to us. Hey, have you seen my dog? I get emails from people that are looking for their dogs that we do not have. But, 7 days, that gives them time. And then even if that time is up and they come back and prove that that's their dog, we have them apply for it. We get them fixed or get their shots, whatever we need to do. And then they can have their dog back because we don't charge adoption fees. So, we do not hold people's dogs hostage, and adopt them out to other people if they're wanting them back.
Curious mind, has that ever happened?
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
And how does that go over?
We just had people apply, and Sharpie was one of them. Sharpie was one of them. He came to the Osawatomie shelter. A lady was supposed to be watching him. He got out, and the owner was a traveling nurse and didn't know his dog was gone for almost a year. Come back, we had him apply, and he got his dog back.
Okay. That's a better story. In my mind, I was asking, have you adopted a dog out and then the owner come back?
We have had that.
Yeah, that part.
We have had that happen.
They have to go through the process just like everybody else. They have to go through the application process just like everybody else. And if it's not a great fit, it's not a great fit.
I know what you're talking about with an owner coming back, 6 months later and say, hey, that's my dog.
But
It's already been adopted out. On that case, that's a little bit of a tricky situation, if the dog's in a loving home, and I do remember Jen saying something about it has happened, and they've reached out to the adopters, and they've been willing to give the dog back after they proved it.
Just want to say you guys are so easy to talk with. I didn't even realize what time it was already. We could just keep sitting here going back and forth. But I do want to thank you for all that you guys do in seeing it through. It's not very often that you have the same people in place from when we were fundraising to get an air conditioner
Yep.
to seeing it all the way through to renovating and putting in a cat room and playpens and everything else. So
Yeah.
truly thank you for being a part of it. And
I've been
seeing the
there 5
vision.
years.
Yes.
5 years.
You have seen it all, and
Yep.
you finally get to see the bright side of what you've always envisioned and
Yep.
see through. So I am so excited for you and the whole Osawatomie community
I'm
to see
excited.
this happening.
Yeah.
But
You guys got to come down. Just
Yes.
come,
Yeah, we
come
will.
down on a
Saturday,
Saturday. Just if you can, come down.
I won't
We'll
be
figure it
able
out.
to, but we'll figure it out.
once glory season's over.
Yeah.
Okay,
Come
and Sai
down.
is here. She just was doing all the behind the scenes stuff. So Sai, I'll let you do your thing.
And as always, it's never too late for a happily ever after.